eighth Makkah, the Makkah of grasshoppers, locust. It's found in Parashat Bo with two remaining Makot. After that, three altogether, and we always remember that because Parashat Bo equals the word Bo equals three, Gematria 3, and there are three remaining Makot in Parashat Bo. When Moshe came to warn Paro about Makat Arbe, because 7 nasty Makot already came, Paro's servants and remaining advisors begged him to let the Jewish people out. But obviously, he was stubborn once again, and he did not let out the Jewish people. Because of this, Hashem had to send Arbe to destroy more of Mitzrayim for what they did to the Jewish people. It ate everything that was left over from the Makkah of Barad. There were new things that came and grew after the Makkah of Barad, and the Makkah of Arbe, locust, came and destroyed that as well. When the trees fell in the Makkah of Barad in hail, Egypt thought at least they could use the wood from those trees to rebuild Egypt. Now comes along billions and billions of grasshoppers, locusts, and it literally turned all those trees into sawdust and ate all the crops that grew from after Makat Barad. It covered the sky. There wasn't one drop of light in Egypt in the Makkah of Arbe, besides the Makkah of darkness, Hoshech, which we'll get to. The reason for this was because they did not know when is day and when is night, and when they made the Jewish people suffer so much, they did not know when was day, when was night as well, and that's why Hashem had to cover all their sunlight. The reason why Hashem brought the Makkah of Arbe, there are many reasons as well, but the main reason is they made the Jewish people do all their planting and work in the fields, and now comes along the Makkah of Arbe and wipes it all out. There were 7 different types of locusts that came to Egypt from all different directions. We could see that if you look at the Pesukim, it says the word Arbe 7 times to allude to the 7 species of the locust. Moshe Rabbeinu prays to Hashem after 7 days, when Paro begins to break, because this one was the 8th one, and as we know, it just kept getting harder and harder, even for the most stubborn Paro. Paro asks, Mi v'mi ha'holechim, who wants to leave Egypt? Who will leave Egypt? But obviously, he didn't let them all leave until after the 10th Makkah. When Moshe Rabbeinu prayed at the end of Arbe, locust, to be gone, the Egyptians were hoping that it will just remain and die in Egypt, and at least they'll have some food. They used to eat grasshoppers back then, and they took some of them. They even put them into jars with salt to pickle them, each to their own. And comes along Moshe, he prays for the locust to go away, and after the locust leaves, even the ones that were sealed in jars being pickled, they disappeared. When Paro saw that, he thought maybe it was some kind of kishuf, sorcery. So Paro did not want to send out the Jewish people after the Makkah of Arbe left. We all know the 9th one was Makat Hoshech, darkness. This was the first Makkah that Moshe Rabbeinu did not come to warn Paro. The darkness was so dark, so thick, that you were able to feel the darkness, as we know. Every Makkah was for 7 days. The Makkah of Sephardea, as we mentioned, frogs, was for 8 days, and after that all of them were for 7 days. When the Makkah of Hoshech came, it was only for 6 days. 3 days they were not able to see anything. It was double as dark as the darkest night that we've ever seen, but that was only the first 3 days. The second 3 days, it was so dark that they couldn't even move, and as we all know, if they were sitting, they could not get up, and if they were standing, they could not sit down. The remaining 7th day of Choshech, Hashem brought to the Egyptians by the Makkah that he gave unto them, in the Kriyat Yam Suf, when the sea split 7 days after leaving Mitzrayim in the morning. And that's why we celebrate the 7th day of Pesach, as we know Hashem split the sea for us. When the Egyptians came in to chase us, Hashem sent the darkness, the remaining 7th day of darkness, onto the Egyptians as a punishment, and then he let the water in Yam Suf fall all over them. When the Jewish people were walking around, obviously even at night we had light, we were able to walk into the Egyptian homes and look to see what they have to pay us for all the slavery that we had. Not one Jew took even a penny, took anything that did not belong to them. Believe it or not, after the Makkah, Paro himself was astounded on how all the Jewish people knew where the money was, but not one penny was missing. No one would ever dare take anything without permission. And Paro was even amazed at Moshe, that he just said one commandment to the Jewish people, and every single Jewish person listened. So when the Jewish people went into the Egyptian homes, there was light for them even at night. Why did Hashem bring darkness upon the Egyptians? There are numerous reasons. One of the reasons are they thought they were doing something in hiding and no one would ever see. They wanted to be in darkness, they wanted to be in hiding. Hashem brought upon them the Makkah of darkness. They also did something very cruel. They would take Jewish people, make them stand up against a wall or even in the middle of a room. They would put candles on their heads, and as they were eating and feasting, the Jewish people would stand there with candles on their heads to give the Egyptians light. And if the Jew moved and it fell, obviously he got punished. And therefore, Hashem said, you mocked my people with using your light, you're going to lose the light. They used to also bow down to the sun and to the moon, and Hashem showed he's in charge. There's no sun for you and there's no moon. It's total darkness. When Moshe Rabbeinu did bring the Makkah of Hoshech to Mitzrayim, he waited for the middle of the day when it was the brightest time of the day, the sun was shining, and then he brought darkness so nobody could say it's just an extension of the night before. The darkness just remained. It was bright and Moshe Rabbeinu made it dark. Obviously a very, very strong Makkah for all the Egyptian people. Paro tells Moshe after the Makkah of Hoshech, I will never see your face again. Don't come back here, and you're not allowed. I will kill you if you come back here. Moshe says, you got it. And as we know, after Hoshech, Moshe never came back to Paro. Paro himself, in the next Makkah of Makkah Bechorot, came to chase after Moshe, to look for him, because Paro was a Bechor, and he himself wanted to be saved. Bezrat Hashem, have a wonderful day, a wonderful holiday, and only good things.